Testimony from DJ Markuson, March 20th, 2025.
My name is DJ Markuson, and I own a company by the grace of God called Fence Company near me. And it's been a complete blessing, but I'm going to back up and kind of give you a little rundown, kind of how some of these other guys did. Um, Born in Virginia, started out up there. Family grew up Christian. I grew up Seventh Day Adventist. For those of you who don't know, it's kind of like a Jew meets a Baptist in forms of religion, kind of as far as basically Friday sundown to Saturday sundown is their day of worship. Um, a couple other differences, but anyways, grew up a believer. You think you're a believer, and then God's like, I'm going to show you not necessarily how to be a believer, but that test, where you go through a trial. And anyway, so I am growing up. Mom wants me to go to college. I have no desire to go to college. She's like, "You're going or you're out of the house." I was like, "I guess I'm going." Biggest waste of time ever. I work with my hands. I'm good with that. I'm good with sales. Good with people. Really enjoyed, everything other than college. Anyways, what I will say is wherever you're at in your business, God knows the desires of your heart. He knows where you want to be, and just keep seeking it out. He's going to take you there and fulfill those. I met. I go to a high school. It was a boarding academy. I meet a girl named Katie, who's now my wife. We didn't hang out at all there. She thought I was the most annoying person in the world. At moments, she still thinks that. But anyway, so that kind of goes to a point where we end up getting married. We're living an hour north of where I grew up, and I'm jumping from job to job to job. Nothing's really sticking. My 60-year-old mother-in-law is literally working to provide for her daughter and me, which is extremely hard and humbling as a man who wants to provide for your family. My father-in-law is a retired colonel in the Marine Corps, worked for Homeland Security, engineer, and I know he's like, "What the crap are you doing?" You could see it in his face. We're beyond broke. I'm trying to do everything I can. We have two boys. Wanted to have originally when we got married, we wanted to have 5 kids. My wife has insanely difficult pregnancies. Pretty much, she gets pregnant. I walk in the room. She's like, "Oh, whatever the hormone thing is, I trigger that," and she throws up. Like I literally had to be away from her. If she drank water, she threw up. If she ate a cracker, she threw up. Like I mean, constantly throwing up. Ended up in the hospital with IVs. Like it was pretty intense. So a little hesitant on having 5 children herself because that's borderline impossible. So we have friends of ours that moved to the area. They do foster care, adopt 2 little girls. Precious, amazing story. And, we see this and we're like, we should do the same thing. So we end up going through the foster care program, get this beautiful little boy who comes to live with us. And his mom did not want him, was on drugs, and was running into the wall trying to abort the baby. He ends up coming early, and through that process is how he ended up going into foster care and coming to us. I'm going to cliff note this. Basically, my wife, she goes out with some friends, just at Starbucks, just to get some coffee, hang out, talk. I go home and basically getting the kids ready for bed. I'm giving, the boy's name was Ronnie. I'm giving him a bath. In the process of giving him a bath, at some point, he got scolded across here. And I never noticed him scream or cry. Like, I didn't know what was going on. At first, I thought it was an allergic reaction. I'm basically putting on his diaper, and he goes like this, and the skin moves. And I was like, what the heck? I'm not medical. That kind of freaked me out. Call my wife. She comes home, sees it, goes to the hospital. They don't know what's going on. Take him down to another hospital down in Richmond. My wife goes with them. I'm watching the other 2 boys. I go in the next day, meet with the doctor. He's like, listen, man. He's like, He has burns. They're not super bad. He's gonna be fine. This kind of stuff happens. I have kids. He's like, we see this pretty often. You're giving the child a bath, it's burned, no big deal. Really just kind of trying to be a pressure relief valve for me, which I appreciate because I'm wondering what's going on. Met with CPS, went through everything, and basically they decided like, hey, just out of an abundance of caution, let's kind of keep everybody separate. Your family's over here. We'll keep him over here. Again, he's going to be fine. Everything kind of goes through the process of him healing up. The last contact we had was he's healing up. He'll be out of here next week. We already got a family lined up. Everything's good. He'll be okay. And we're like, okay, it's painful. It's a terrible situation, but at least everything's okay. He's moving on, and we'll be good to go. So about a month and a half later, we're at a business conference, and I'm sitting next to Katie, and she gets a call, and she's like, I see this reaction, and it basically was a call. It's like, hey, we just want to follow up and touch base with you. What do you want to do with the body? And we were like, what? What are you talking about? And it was a medical, state-run medical hospital, and obviously the foster care is state-run as well. So it's state and state, and so he had passed. He had to have a blood transfusion. Ended up getting MRSA, and when they were doing this transfusion, the whatever the medical device is in his neck came out, ended up bleeding out and passing away. So they came after me with murder, neglect, like a whole laundry list of charges. And remember, got a call from a cop, and they were like, "Hey, where are you at?" And I was like, "Out of state at a business conference." They're like, "Sure you are." I was like, "The heck is that?" So I get back, I go meet with the cop. Again, not knowing, hey, maybe get an attorney, all this stuff. But anyways, have a conversation, explain, my side of everything, and super nice about everything until I left, and they're like, "Hey, good luck." I was like, "That's odd." So through counsel, end up going and getting a lawyer, and that was a really interesting situation. So I work for my cousin. I make $16 an hour. My mother-in-law is literally paying for half of everything we do. Beyond broke, like all our tires are bald. We barely have food. My father-in-law comes over with groceries. I'm like, we can survive. Like, I mean, it was pretty pathetic, sad situation. I will say, if you're in that situation, at the time, it was very hard for me to accept my in-laws doing that role. But in that moment, God loved on me, and somebody pulled me aside and said, "Listen, you have to realize God put them in your life to play that role for a certain amount of time." And I look back and I'm like, what a gift that I didn't realize it, but God's taking care of me the whole time, and I'm sitting here like frustrated with what God's doing and providing for me. It's crazy. So, anyways, absolutely broke. Go and meet with a lawyer. They're like, "Hey, we'll represent you. You should be, we'll help you get through this whole process. You're looking at between $50,000 and $60,000." I was like, how the heck's that gonna work? We basically had people walking up to us, handing us cash, handing us checks. Took care of, literally, God carried us through that. Out of about $60,000, we paid about, I think it was like $2,200. Everything else God provided, and it was given to us. Absolutely incredible. So end up going to basically was going to be arrested. I just came in, turned myself in, and I remember walking in. They're like, "Oh, how can I help you?" I was like, "I need to turn myself in. I'm going to jail." And they were like, I don't know what else to say. It is the situation. So I go to jail. I basically I go in. It was one of those things where I turned myself in early. So my lawyer's telling me, "Hey, you're good. You're going to get time served. You've been in here for almost 3 months." I had 113 people write character letters, and everything you do matters. Like you have no idea. Had the chance. They got printed out and sent to me in jail, and I read through every single one. I was like, I had no idea I was making an impact on people. Like some of these people, I knew them, but like maybe 3 or 4 times, and they wrote a letter, and then other people you know better, and it was really wild. The judge read every single one of them. So I'll back up a little bit. I'm in jail, and my lawyer comes in to meet with me like, hey, just want to let you know, more than likely, you'll get time served and you'll be out of here. And I was like, that sounds great. Like, praise the Lord, you know? And I'm in jail, and I remember walking in, you have your little tote. You wear like 6 pairs of underwear because, you know, like 6 T-shirts because what you got is what you got. You walk in, I'm like, all right, Lord, here we go. Like, I was there for a reason. I didn't completely understand, but I was like, I know I'm here for a reason. And I'm kind of like talking to people a little bit about Jesus and trying to do what I'm supposed to do, you know. But I was still very fearful. I'm like, what's happening to my kids? I have 2 boys that are at home. Who's taking care of my wife? God took care of all of it, provided for all of it. Really incredible. But I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking I'm getting time served. The time I've been in, you're going to be good. They're going to let you go home, right? And so I'm sitting there, and I just start like, all right, Lord, I'm going to pray. And so I'm singing and praising, and for whatever reason, so if you came up on the street and like, hey man, what's your name? And I was like a little off put, like, I'm Dave Swanson, how you doing? This is my ultimate random alter ego, you know. Done that for years. It started out as a joke, but then it kind of became natural. So when I get in there, what's your name? It's like Dave, and so everybody called me Dave, for whatever reason. Even though they all have a newspaper, like, that's not his name. But anyway, so I'm singing and praising like right around this time, like, and I can't sing. I don't have your gift. I don't have your gift. It's bad. I seriously, when I'm in church, I'm like, I'm gonna make people not come back. So it's pretty bad. But I'm singing, and you can hear people through like the air vents, and so you hear the guy, hey, yo, Dave. I'm like, what's up, man? Shut the. Anyways, no more singing. So, so I stopped singing, and I was like, all right. So you want to get beat up? But I had a sheet. You have your bottom sheet, middle sheet, and blanket. The middle sheet I would use to put on the floor. I'd work out on or do whatever. And sometimes I just get down and pray. This time I was praying, and I was praying like I've never prayed before. Lord, please give me time served. Let me get out of here. And then an hour later, I'm doing it again. And I get to where I'm just literally nonstop praying. And I very specifically remember, like, God gave me a vision of I'm sitting there, and the more I pray, the more restless I get. And I'm like, Lord, help me, you know, like I'm trying to get through this. Time served, let's go. And the more I'm doing it, the more uneasy I'm getting. And finally, I just was like, Lord, your will, whatever you want. Like, most amazing peace, just, and I was good. And I was like, all right, good to go. And I see this image of me sitting there on the sheet, and God's behind me. I can't see his face. Can't ever see his face. But he's there, and he's just like, good job. You got it. It's not about you. It's, you know. And it's a beautiful moment for me. And anyway, so I go to court, and judge is like, look, there's nothing in your history that shows like you're malicious or anything. They try to paint me as like I did all this stuff on purpose. And they go through all this. I've read all your testimony and everything. Here's the thing. I'm giving you 5 years. I'm going to suspend 4.5, and you'll go back in. I went back in for 92 days. And my lawyer comes in and is like, you good? I was like, I'm good. She was like, I've never seen anybody be so peaceful about this. Like, what is the deal? I was like, I already knew I was going back. She was like, okay. And I explained it. I think it was a testimony to her too. But I ended up going back in. And at that point, I was like, all right, Lord, I'm back here for a reason. Let's go. And you have to get books approved and sent in and through a whole process. But I got Tony Evans' Kingdom Man sent in. I got a couple other books sent in, and literally started a men's group. And it was literally like, hey, what's your name? Hey, nice to meet you. you know Jesus? And it was just boom, 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 bringing people to Christ. There was one guy, they have like a 5-minute church. People come, church is so long, like you're hungry for anything. And they're like, welcome to church, Jesus, have a good day. Like it was so short. So anyway, so I was hungry for it, and I'm like, hey man, you want to go to church? And I specifically remember this guy. I was like, hey, you want to go to church? And he's like, no, man, I don't worship the same God as you. It's like, I don't even know what that means. And I just walk out and go to church. That same guy, I got 5 or 6 letters at least every single day of people writing to me. I'd write back. It ministered to me like you wouldn't believe. It helped pass time, but you start getting a reputation like this guy getting all these letters for, and this guy who's like, I don't, believe the same God. That guy, his name's Smitley. He gets 1 letter in a year and a half. Went to trial, mistrial, went a second time, mistrial, and he's gotten 1 letter, and basically they rip off any type of sticker in case something's under it. They rip off stickers like, I don't know what the address is. It's like, give me some information, I'll see if I can find out who it is. He's like, you do that for me? It's like, yeah. We end up finding out the person, getting the address, and giving it to him. And he's like, this is amazing. And I'm telling my sister, whose name is Katie, different people, my wife, Katie, basically saying, hey, this guy needs somebody to write to. Somebody got that? Anyways, needs somebody to write to. So they start writing letters to this person, and his trial's coming up. I'm like, dude, he's going to get out before me. He's in here for forced sodomy on his daughter. I'm like, what the heck am I doing? I'm an idiot. And literally the devil starts like, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. I'm having a hard time with it. So you don't touch anybody in jail. Don't, just everybody keeps their distance. And we'd have times where we were locked up in the actual cell for like 3-4 days at a time. No shower, no going out, no nothing. I went outside 1 time in 6 months. It just was the cell, the block that I was in. But anyway, so we go out. This guy was in the Army, and he taught Army Rangers like their basic training. So not a guy you want to mess with. And I'm sitting there. I'm kind of in my head about my sister and my mom. My sister and my wife writing to this guy. And I remember sitting there thinking about it, and I was like, look, man, I was like, these people are going to be writing to you. I was like, they mean a lot to me. And I put my finger on his chest and kind of pushed it low. I was like, don't screw this up. And he was the cell guy next to me. And I go back in, not really thinking much of it other than like, all right, I got that off my chest. Hopefully that works, whatever. I come out, and the guy's like, yo, man, I need to talk to you. I was like, no problem, man. I was like, I'm going to call my son real quick. I promised I'd call, whatever. And he's like, no, I need to talk now. And I'm like, oh, here we go. So we go in this little 20 by 20 cement plate area, which is basically cement. You walk in a circle. And we go in there, and he just starts like talking about the whole situation of him being in there, why he was there. And he's like, dude, I have been praying for God to show up. A lot of people in there use God as a way to manipulate and get things from people. He's like, I've been praying for God to show up. He's like, and all I could think, my background, where we're at. If God is for me, who can be against me? And that's exactly what you showed when you put your hands on me. I was like, I had no idea. Like I was doing something entirely different than that, but praise the Lord. So that guy went from, I don't worship the same God. He's like, I don't know how it works, but I want to drag people to the cross. I'm like, that doesn't work that way, but it's a good start. So I knew I was there for a reason. So anyways, I end up getting out, come out of that, and I'm in a position where I'm a felon. The biological dad came after us, for like 1.2 million or something. Nothing at all was in my name. I was like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't have anything to, anyway. So I met with another lawyer for that. He's like, just file bankruptcy. It'll negate the whole thing. I did that. Katie didn't, praise the Lord. But I did that. And that kind of shut that down. So I share that part to say I'm a felon, and I have I'm bankruptcy. So let's move to Florida. I don't know anybody down here really. I know like 2 couples. One of the couples. So Katie's like, we're moving to Florida. I was like, okay. I was like, we don't have a job. We don't have anything down there. I was like, at least if we stay here, I can work with my cousin that $20 an hour. Went from 16 to 20, got a big raise. Supporting a family. And anyway, so I'm doing that. And here's the thing. Gaines, you talked about, have you ever been here before, right? We all have different parts of the story, right? I worked for my cousin for about 5 years doing ornamental iron, railings, fences. Had no clue that God was using that to train me every single thing I needed to know to now own a fence company. At the time, I'm like, this sucks. I'm making nothing. But you look back, you're like, God had a plan. I'm very thankful for it. She's like, well, I'll be in Florida. If you want to see your family, you know where we'll be. I was like, awesome. So we moved down. I have a background in aviation. So I took that and put it into drone photography. Tried to launch, no pun intended, a drone photography business. And didn't really take off. I'm not doing that on purpose. But anyways, I was calling. I was two in a row. I was doing like 35 to 40 phone calls to realtors a day, and I probably overall made like $2,500, $3,000 over the course of like 2 or 3 months. Nothing really to provide. Irma comes through. At this point, I'm like, man, I'm done with tools. I don't want to do construction anymore. Irma comes through. And we leave, we come back, and my buddy's like, hey, the fence in the backyard is down. The neighbors can't find anybody to do it. It's the first job I ever did here. Well, I say that. I was doing the drone stuff, but first job like that somebody like actually came and said, can I hire you? Which was crazy. So I build their fence, put something on next door, and it starts going into a handyman business. But I have very, very few jobs coming in. Justin Jones, who a lot of you guys know, complete blessing from God. That's the other thing. If God has a plan for you, a lot of times we can't see it. He's already got it put together. He's going to bring the people in. He's going to make things happen. Matt, you're one of those guys I'm excited about. You too, even though we met in jail and knew each other. I love picking on him. So anyways, Justin Jones, basically I met him. This guy invites me to come to a Bible study. I go there. I don't know anybody. At first, I kind of think it's like an Amway meeting or something. I'm like, it was just kind of odd. And I'm sitting there and everybody's introducing themselves. And I was like, hey, I'm DJ. And this guy over on the other side was like, hey, I know you. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just moved here. I don't know. You know, this is Justin Jones. I had met him like 2 days ago at the church. Just a quick, like, I'm DJ. And he walked off. So I don't know how he remembered me, but he did. But he ends up saying, hey, I might have something for you. I start working for his handyman company very briefly, but probably, I don't know, 2-3 months. But he said, look, whatever day you want to work, great. Whatever day you don't want to work, great. You're good. And I was like, that's amazing. I'm going to fill in the days that I don't have work with him. I'm pretty much done working with him. I got my clientele up, and I basically told him, I said, or he called me and said, hey, we're having a company meeting. We'd like you to go. I haven't done any work for him in like 2 weeks. I go to the meeting and he's like, hey, anybody ever wants to start a business, let me know. Happy to help you. Love helping people start businesses. I was like, well, that's pretty awesome. And I thought about it for about 2 weeks. I was like, I'm going to call him. I was like, hey, were you serious about that? Yeah, what are you thinking? Long story short, let's start a fence company. He was a business partner. Greatest gift from God. A cool gift from God, I should say. Start the company. What in the world do we call it? I don't know. Type in fence company near me into Google and see what pops up. Dude, we should just name it Fence Company Near Me. That's a good idea. And we ended up doing that. And it's been a complete blessing. And people compliment on it all. Dude, you're a genius. I was like, no, how'd you come up with that name? Jesus. And some people are like, that's awesome. Some people are like, let's walk off. But it's God. And I was like, man, I'll always give you the glory. And we started off, and the business literally from year to year has grown 30%. Every single year, and it's just a testimony to God. He knows the desires of our hearts, and he knew that I always wanted to provide for my family. It wasn't like a work ethic, but he brought the different people in. This group is the exact same thing. You get money, it's great. Let's now use it and do something good with it. And I'm so thankful, man, for your faithfulness, all you guys. It's a blessing. You know, I listened to Sorry, I get emotional. The and I'm great with names. The lady who shared
Carol Ward.
Carol. It fired me up. She's sitting there talking about being in America and staying here and praying until it's safe, And I'm like, I'm praying for the country. Like, what in the world? And I was like, well, she's praying and got a whole army with her. I was like, I don't have a whole army. I was like, if I did have a whole army, would I actually call them and pray with them? Would I fast with them? And that was a gut check for me. That's what we have here. Thankful to Phil. Having a rough time with some stuff, called him up, prayed with me. I'm very thankful for that. And that's just, it's such a blessing for what we have here. So there was that. I did miss one really important part, and I apologize, Lord. So business has grown, all that stuff. I get out of jail. Okay. I was like, Lord, I will never not trust you again. Immediately, good, start tithing. I was like, well, the thing is this. So I had like no money, no jobs, no nothing. I think it was, I finished this Finch job, and I was like, all right, I'm earning money from this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to tithe the whole way to church. Yes, no, bills, faithfulness, all these things, mental ping pong, right? And I get there, I'm like, forget it. I'm just going to do it. And I tithe. And it's so crazy because I do that. And that same Sunday service, they have a handout for anybody who had any situation with Irma. I was like, I don't even own a house. I want nothing to do with this. This guy stands up. What's up, brother, man? Nice to meet you, man. Welcome to church. What's going on? I was like, hey, peace for Jesus. So shook his hand, gave me $50. I was like, that's awesome. Thank you. Another person walked up, stuck money in my pocket. And literally by the end of us being there, when we left, I had the exact dollar amount that I had given. And I was like, dude, God is so personal. My humor in my mind, and I know you think this way, is God and Jesus are up there and like, dude, let's totally mess with him, give him the exact amount that he's gonna give, just to screw with him. And that's exactly what happened. So I'm like, Katie, you're not gonna believe this. She's like, of course it is. I'm like, I know, you're always faithful. So it was if you know Katie, she's awesome. She's a warrior and a winner, and praise the Lord, she stuck by me through all that craziness. So yeah, tithing is so incredibly important. He wants to bless you so much. It's one area, you guys all know this, where it says to test you, and literally, he's giving me different numbers, like do this with tithe, do this with tithe, do this with tithe, and the giving message that you guys had here. In 2023, he gave me a number. It's like, all right, 2024 comes around. I'm like, Lord, what's the number? Radio silence. I hear nothing. Come to that meeting. I hear a number. And at the time, if you really look at our business, it's going backwards. We're in a slow time for whatever reason. And I'm like, this is not good. And God's like, give this amount. I'm like, seriously? I was like, I asked. So I was like, okay, let's do it. And I did it. And God literally said, he's like, I'm doing this so that you can prove yourself. I'm giving you a chance to prove yourself faithful to tithe more than what you're capable of. And literally these storms come through, and our business has doubled, if not tripled, and stabilized at that level, which is like mind-blowing. I've had gains. I've had multiple people say, look, you're at the tip of the iceberg for how big this is going to go. And it's not about, it's God's business. And I've shared this with some of you guys. If there's like a need, if you know of somebody, I was never a giver. But when you go through something like I went through and people were just walking up giving you money, holy cow, did God change my heart. Like, he rocked me with that. And if there's a need, and especially for this group, hey, I got a person over here, whatever it is, it's not me. And I want no credit. It is Jesus. 100% has blessed us, and I want to give it back. It was so humbling going through that. Tithing, amazing. God's faithfulness. He has plans for all of us, whether you're here in your business or here. I'm pumped to be a part of this, to learn. I see my own parents. I love them. I'm thankful for them. But I see what they're doing at their age, and I see what this guy's doing at his age, and how God is using him. Is that not inspirational? like I think about it like I'm 43. At some point, I'm going to be older. I don't want to just sit around. It's not about retiring. Why retire? Keep getting after it and giving and serving. And you're an inspiration. I appreciate you. Yeah, God brings the right people. He's faithful. I don't know where the business is going. I know it's growing. I'm excited about it. I'm very thankful for God continuing to put the people in my life. And yeah, that's kind of my testimony. And also, I do own a fence company, so that's the business side of it. So
Thank you,
thank you guys.
Absolutely.